A 5.7 magnitude earthquake hit Puerto Rico early this morning, causing some damage and power outages.
Felt like it was a train hitting underneath Earth.
While numerous people around the world were celebrating the new year on the 1st of January 2024, several countries in different continents were hit by earthquakes and tsunamis. One of these victim countries happened to be Puerto Rico. Matter of fact, in Puerto Rico, these earthquakes have kept a streak since 2023. What could be the reasons behind these recurring earthquakes in Puerto Rico? And are they likely to stop soon? Join us as we explore the causes of this earthquake in Puerto Rico that shocks everybody. Earthquakes on January 1st, 2024. On the 1st of January 2024, a supposedly global celebration date, some countries suffered earthquakes and tsunamis, unfortunately. These victim countries include Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, California, Yellowstone, Montana, the Virgin Islands, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, New Mexico, Fiji, Russia, Texas, Chile, and the Northern Mariana Islands. A bigger shock is that in some countries, such as the United States, different states were affected at the same time. New Year's earthquake in Puerto Rico. On January 1st, 2023, the United States Geological Survey, USGS, reported an earthquake with a magnitude of 2.84 and a depth of 12 kilometers in Central Aguirre, Puerto Rico, at 4:40 a.m. Fortunately, no significant bruises or damages were reported after the earthquake. The earthquake was tagged an aftershock. Ironically, this earthquake did not come as a shock, as it kept resurfacing since December 2023. An earthquake occurred approximately every day in Puerto Rico in the last month of 2023, most of which were above a magnitude of 2. Despite appearing as though the January 1st earthquake was a continuation of the December streak, it does not make the earthquake less devastating. Puerto Rico's annual earthquakes. Puerto Rico is quite infamous for its frequent earthquakes. In 2023 alone, a total of 3,197 earthquakes were recorded. 239 earthquakes were recorded with a magnitude lower than 2, such as rarely felt by people. 2,168 earthquakes had magnitudes in the range of 2 and 3. 752 earthquakes had magnitudes in the range of 3 and 4, while 38 earthquakes had a magnitude above 4. This implies that only about 239 of these earthquakes did not directly disturb residents of the island. The other almost 3,000 earthquakes were felt by the inhabitants. For a relatively small country that is smaller than 48 out of the 50 states in its neighboring country, the United States, these frequent earthquakes are puzzling. Earthquakes peaked in Puerto Rico in 2020. Between December 2019 and December 2020, an unprecedented swarm of 9,000 earthquakes were recorded. Amidst these recurring earthquakes were the strongest earthquakes ever witnessed by the country in over a century. Having spent over 29 years with Puerto Rico's seismic network, the director of the organization said he had never seen any earthquakes of that sort or that frequency. It seems Puerto Rico had more on their plate, besides the pandemic. The most notorious of these earthquakes were 3. Starting the first week of the year was the occurrence of an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.8 on January 6, 2020. While still destabilized, another earthquake followed the next day, January 7, 2020, this time with a higher magnitude of 6.4. On January 11, 2020, an aftershock with a magnitude of 5.9 was recorded. Several aftershocks, recorded with remarkable magnitude, disturbed and delayed relief and recovery. A magnitude of 4.5 or more was exhibited by over 24 quakes. On January 15, 2020, an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.2 was registered. Following that, on January 25, 2020, another earthquake with a magnitude of 5.0 occurred near Guayanilla. Aside from these back-to-back earthquakes that shook the island country in January 2020, most of the other thousands of earthquakes had relatively low magnitudes in the range between 2 and 3. Causes of Puerto Rico's frequent earthquakes. The island country is located between the border of the North American Plate and the Caribbean Tectonic Plate. The north of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, known as the Puerto Rico Trench, is an undersea fault zone, and it is the point where the North American Plate gradually slides under the Caribbean Plate, which creates a possibility for earthquakes and undersea landslides that can trigger tsunamis. Energy and stress accumulate when the tectonic plates in the region slide past each other and compress together until a side of a fault pops up and unleashes an earthquake. For a while, the earthquakes reallocate stresses along the fault until those stresses accumulate again and new tremors occur. According to a research geophysicist at the USGS, Gavin Hayes, at about 2 centimeters per second, the North American Plate is edging south and sinking underneath the Caribbean Plate. On the other hand, the Caribbean Plate moves in the opposite direction, northward, to the south at a similar pace. Hayes said that the plates are converging at a relatively low rate when compared to plate boundaries around the world. It can be as high as 6 centimeters per year in South America, he continued, while it can be up to 10 centimeters per year in the Southwest Pacific. Earthquakes are either made smaller or rarer, as slower convergence rates infer slower accumulation of strain. He further added that Puerto Ricans should be aware that earthquakes can be expected anytime because they live in a tectonically active region. Tourist attractions in Puerto Rico and potential effects of earthquakes on them. As an island country, many tourist attractions are available in Puerto Rico. Some of these amazing spots are listed below. El Yunque National Forest. In the U.S. National Forest System, El Yunque is the only tropical forest. It is one of the most visited destinations in the country for lovers of nature. More intriguingly, many hiking trails, rivers, viewing towers, and waterfalls are contained in this national forest. The vegetation and natural resources could be disturbed by violent movements underground, causing trees to collapse and rivers to have unclean water. Vieques. With its mesmerizing scenery that is just off the coast of the main island, Vieques features the only black sand beach in the country, Playa Negra, the Fortin Conde Mirasol Museum, which is the last Spanish fort constructed in the American continent. Among other beaches, recurring earthquakes of high magnitude might trigger a tsunami from the deepest grounds of the ocean. Rio Camuy Caves Park. Located by the Camuy River, the world's third longest subterranean river, the cave system includes 220 caves and caverns. The cave stands at risk of falling apart if the earthquakes persist. Playa Flamenco, Culebra. Aside from being one of the paradisiacal beaches in the country, this beach is also one of the top beaches in the world. Like every other ocean, Playa Flamenco is in harm's way of giant waves that might be produced from the violent ground vibrations generated from earthquakes. Castillo San Felipe del Morro. This 16th century fortress, also known as El Morro, was built by the Spaniards to protect the country from sea attacks. Its historical value and thrilling architecture make it one of Puerto Rico's legendary landmarks. The historical value and thrilling architecture of El Morro could be lost to earthquakes for eternity. Rincon. Rincon beaches seem to be the spot to enjoy a dream Caribbean island vacation. In addition to having astonishing sunsets, watching humpback whales and surfing are highly enjoyable on these beaches. Earth tremors may induce displacement of aquatic life in the Rincon beaches. Displacement of organisms may result in biodiversity loss. Mosquito Bay, Vieques. Of all the bioluminescent bays in the island country, Mosquito Bay is the most beautiful and second most preserved biobay. The luminescence of this biobay might suffer dimness or complete eradication if trembling of earth persists. Isla Verde, located close to the airport, but with a taste of the exciting beaches, this beachfront scenery has the best nightlife on the island. These beaches as well might be threatened by the violent shaking of the ground. Condado, for tourists who are keen on having a beach view while visiting brand stores, luxury hotels, beach bars, and fancy restaurants. This district on the island offers all, including a view of the Atlantic Ocean. Earthquakes may lead to a collapse of buildings in the condado into the ocean, thereby affecting aquatic life. La Parguera. In addition to being one of the bioluminescent bays in the country, La Parguera also covers the local cuisine in El Malecón and scuba diving in La Pared. The bioluminescence here might also be threatened by earthquakes. Pinones. This is the fritter capital of Puerto Rico, and it is famous for its beach boardwalk and a family-friendly beach called La Posita de Pinones. Again, another beach stands a risk of experiencing tsunami. Las Cuevas de Desecheo. Desecheo Island is an unpopular attraction in the country that ought to be visited by every diving enthusiast. Although the island is uninhabited and inaccessible to any visitor, its surrounding coral reefs and underwater caves are available for exploration. These beautiful coral reefs may be eternally lost to earthquakes. Mar Chiquita. Formed by rock formations in Manati, Mar Chiquita is a natural pool. It also offers a view from the top of the rock formations. Mar Chiquita won the Travel Lemming Destination Award some years back for being one of the top emerging destinations in North America. This natural pool and the rock formations might all be destroyed by the vibrating waves recurring beneath Earth. Isla Culebrita. Being a small island that is situated in Culebra, it conceals one of Culebra's top beaches, where one can swim with sea turtles and view the best coral reefs in the whole Caribbean. Coral reefs are at the risk of losing their inhabitants' organism, and beaches are at risk of increasing in elevation above the ground by quakes. Cueva del Indio. Located on the coast of Arecibo, ancient Taino petroglyphs left behind centuries ago are situated in this cave. It is particularly interesting for history lovers. If the cave ground vibrates until these caves collapse, significant history might be lost. San German. The second oldest city on the island provides entire insights into the past lifestyles of the Spaniards on the island. Furthermore, this historic city features two 17th century churches, cobblestone streets, museums, and excellent restaurants. These ancient buildings might become dilapidated by the vibrating grounds. Guanica State Forest. Worthy of being called an alternative to El Yunque, this is one of the largest natural reserves in the world, and it is a fantasy land for hikers and outdoor enthusiasts. This forest stands at risk of losing its resources, especially the trees. Carolina Beach. Closely located to the airport, it is possibly the country's most popular urban beach. It consists of a water park for kids and water sports rentals for kayaking, paddleboarding, and jet skiing. The most popular urban beach in the country might be lost to quakes. Aguada. It is believed that both Americans and Spaniards stepped foot into Puerto Rico in this city. Aguada comprises historical buildings, alluring beaches, the only earthship on the island country, and several farms where local products can be procured. These beaches are at risk of being sand-filled, and the historical buildings risk collapsing, thereby history might be lost to earthquakes. San Cristobal Canyon. With a depth of 500 feet, this trench is located between Aybonito and Barranquitas, and it conceals the Usaban River, many waterfalls, exciting cliffs, and a mesmerizing forest. It is advisable to visit the canyon with a tour guide because it is not as easy to navigate as El Yunque National Forest. The trench might become much deeper, the cliffs might become dilapidated and impassable, and the rocks surrounding the waterfalls might fall elsewhere as well. All these might occur if earthquakes disturb the canyon. Cayo Santiago. Also called Monkey Island, it is unusually populated by monkeys. These hundreds of monkeys can be seen on a boat tour by tourists. These monkeys might become endangered species, especially when they are displaced, as part of effects of the quakes. In general, these incessant earthquakes threaten the tourism appeal of the country. More importantly, these tourist attractions are at risk of being affected by continuous earthquakes. Thank you for watching and seeing how severe the impact of the earthquake on Puerto Rico was. To enjoy other mind-blowing videos, kindly like and subscribe to our channel.